And we've been chatting away, talking, him and hawing about our paper planners and how much, we love using them. But it's now spring season right around the corner, and Nicole does a lot of the home and gardening creative content that we use in toctown.com. So, of course, with all that paper planning, I had to get the inside info on what is she doing this year for her garden, what her hubby and her family have plans for the season. So we've incorporated some video blogs that she's done of her previous gardens. But what does 2016 look like for you?
Okay, so right now the weather is finally getting nice. We're in the Chicago area and we're like in zone 5B. So the weather, we were hoping like a couple weeks ago we were going to be able to get in the yard and start doing a little cleaning so that when it finally gets just right, we're ready and we're off to go. But Sunday is another time that we usually like to get in the garden. It was sunny out in the beginning and it start drizzling and sun came back. No, that was yesterday. The sun came back out. So hopefully we'll get out there to get, just hit it there, here and there, just doing some tidying up. We also have a greenhouse that my husband purchased maybe 2 years ago, and where it's very windy here, so we have to secure the panels because we have some blowouts, with the
Mm-hmm.
windows. So hopefully we can get that done. So hopefully, what is it, March? Hopefully by April we will have some stuff planted and we'll start off with the hoop house. That's when we just use some PVC piping and we use some plastic to cover everything to keep it nice and warm, because like I said, we're in Chicagoland and it gets cold, it gets hot, it gets cold, it gets hot, it gets hot. So, and we may even have snow in April. So, yeah, we never know what we get here. But so usually when we do the hoop house, it seems to really do very well because it gives our plants a nice little head start.
You know what? Because I remember when Patty LaBelle came out with her sweet potato pie recipe on the market,
Hmm.
and your hubby makes sweet potato pie as well. So
Yeah.
I wanted to get a personal, how did it turn out? How did it compare?
Oh,
That whole, because you posted like bags and bags and bags of
but
harvest that are you
yeah.
guys doing the same thing for this year?
Yeah, okay. Now, last year with the sweet potatoes, what my husband did, we had 9 raised garden beds.
Hmm.
And what happened was he took 3 of those raised garden beds because in the back of our yard, we get a lot of water. So he took 3 of those beds and put them together. So I want to say it's like about 4 by 16.
Okay.
It's like 16 feet long. And so that was our sweet potatoes, and he raised it up high off the ground so it won't sit in the water. And those were our sweet potatoes. But what he did, I want to say we planted about 32 sweet potato plants, and it was a little bit too much because we had a lot of itty bitty sweet potatoes. So this
Okay.
year we'll probably go with um maybe 15. That would probably be best, so they won't be so crowded. And so we got a lot of sweet potatoes, and that's the sweet potatoes that we use for the pie. Now, please don't hate me, people that love the patty pie. I'm just so sorry. Don't hate us, okay? So we during the I think everybody was here. Even my oldest daughter was here because we did it around Christmas. My mom was here. So I found a patty pie at the store, and my husband did his pies, and we compared it to the patty pie. And of course, the patty pie, I'm sure because now one YouTuber said she's made the patty pies from her recipe. And she said the ones from her recipe taste nothing like in the store. And we know those are mass produced. They're
Hmm.
not going to taste anything
No.
like a home cooked pie.
Hmm.
But for me, they didn't even taste like it was a sweet potato. It didn't taste like it
Mm.
was. So I'm sure with all the fillers and all the sugar and preservatives, I mean that's pretty much what you're gonna get. So of course my
Yeah.
husband's pie rocked it. So
Because I was thinking, I said, you know what? People really need to understand, like, cooking is not just cooking.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's
Yeah.
not just okay. We put the love into it.
Mhm.
Even if you don't feel like cooking,
Yeah.
a lot of times when you manipulate the process,
Mhm.
you get a whole different kind of meal.
Mhm.
You forget one ingredient. Say, oh, it's
Yeah.
not important to put that in. Guess what?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be the main ingredient that's
Right.
missing that should have been in there, and so I'm
Exactly.
always, even though I really don't like touching dirt. I love beautiful flowers. I'm confessing, y'all. So even though I don't like gardening, in general, I do get involved, as far as just taking care of, the here's and there's and cleaning
Mhm.
up and stuff like that. So there is a lot of there's a lot of work in gardening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The pictures that you see in the magazine,
Yeah.
trust me, you'll never understand until you get the work done yourself. You know,
Exactly.
and one thing I wanted to talk about is I know you probably have a video blog coming up on, new beginners and
Mhm.
newbies, but what are some of the things that you learn from gardening?
What have I learned from
Yeah.
gardening? One, just like you said, gardening is a lot of hard work. You know, it takes a nice amount of maintenance. But how? First of all, if you have a good foundation, if you have a good soil base, it's not as hard. You know, so if you're going with something just with without the proper soil base, it's going to be harder. But gardening is a nice amount of work. You know, you have to maintain it. You can't just leave it and think things are just going to, grow and be, just
And don't put no
luscious.
scripture on it talking about, God gave the increase. Yeah, you got to work that increase.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to, and then the weed and the tear grow together. We got to pull up
Mm,
the weeds and things like
mm,
that. So it is a nice amount of work, but it's so enjoying. It's so fulfilling to be able to cook dinner and go outside and get your vegetables. And me and my husband, we went the beginning of this year we went on a Daniel fast, and if you knew how I went to the store at least 3 times a week, at least, to
ooh,
get fresh vegetables, because you can't you just can't store up a whole lot of
right,
vegetables,
right.
without them going bad. I went to the
Hmm.
store at least 3 times a week. I mean, I was so I'm like, oh, the store, the store. But I think a great time for us to do it is in the summertime when we just have plenty full vegetables, and just think of how much money that is saved when we in the
Hmm.
summertime. Because in the summertime when I'm gardening, I don't have to get any vegetables from the grocery store unless it's just something I can't grow here. That's the
Right.
only thing. But otherwise, I pretty much stay within what we're growing, and that's what we eat. And it's just amazing how much money we save on vegetables.
And even I'm so thankful for like simple things whenever we get together. It's
Hmm.
like trying lemon mint tea.
Yeah.
That was like a mind bender for me
Yeah.
because not only when you rub the leaves, you get the aromatherapy from it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I didn't know it's a natural like how do you call it? It helps you sleep,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, I was just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
So even I tested it out on some other people that came to visit. I said,
Hmm.
okay, try this, but don't drive afterwards, and
Yeah.
they were like, we were knocked out for the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't imagine, because a lot of the I'm not a doctor, I'm not a
Hmm.
pharmacist, just to
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, I've taken medication, the simple stuff, it gives me side effects that are unbelievable. When
Yeah.
I drank this, the wonderful side effect was I didn't wake up until I was fully rested.
Yeah,
you,
right,
you know
right, exactly. And when you wake up, it's not, and that's what my mother said, it's not like a restless night. You wake, excuse me, you wake up refreshed,
mhm
like you had like the best night's sleep
mhm
ever. So
yeah, I'm a big
it's amazing, really, like what all the benefits that's in your
man.
garden.
So
Hmm.
even with this, like, this whole movement of people, like, you don't have to go out and grow a whole field, y'all. You can go get a potted plant
Yeah,
and
yeah,
grow you some
yeah.
herbs, and and grow, hey, get some lemon mint tea, and
Yeah,
try
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So even if you're taking sleep medication, I'm not your doctor, I'm not a
yeah.
pharmacist, I'm not telling you to get off the meds,
Right, right.
but I've witnessed people physically going to their doctor and their doctor telling them you don't have to take this diabetic medication anymore. You don't
Mm,
have to take the 50,000 pills that we subscribe to you, because
mhm.
we took them through our garden. They took whatever they wanted and they cooked the food and actually ate
Mhm.
the food. So
Mhm.
whatever happened in their body, to get
Mhm.
the balance right, they don't have to take the
Mhm.
medication anymore. You
Mhm.
can't tell me financially, spiritually, and just mentally how
Yeah.
therapeutic that was to
Right.
hear
Right.
that you don't
Right.
have to take this medication anymore. You're
Right.
good.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's like get a potted plant,
Yeah.
plant something, Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. See, I told
Mhm.
you it was going to come back.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like going back to paper planners, at least being involved in the gardening process,
Mhm.
you start to think about life differently. And that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I do TLC Town, and why I want to get people to contribute their creative content,
Yeah.
because it gives you a sense of, one, you're not alone in this. Two, it's like the timing of this. You have your schedule, I have my schedule.
Mhm.
We actually have to plan to do the podcast.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't just pop over and say, "Hey, Nicole, let's do this podcast."
Right.
There's a
Right.
preparation involved. It's like, okay, what questions am I going to ask her? And a
Yeah.
lot of times you get to talking about stuff, I get to talking about stuff, and it's
Mhm.
like conversation happens.
Yeah.
So for me, the process is super therapeutic, because then I know I'm not alone in my thinking, as
Right.
far as, what I expect, for my future, for myself, for my family, and I think we miss that in the digital age.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is true.
it's like, it's not that we don't want stuff quick, fast, and hurry. You heard Nicole, because stuff is tempting, But
Mhm.
when you when you get behind the process of how things are made,
Yeah.
it's not, for me, it's not as tempting anymore, because I know, like, not to jump off topic, but it's like
Mhm.
both of us, we don't really wear makeup.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for me, it's like I don't mind wearing makeup when I go out, or
Mhm.
do something, a special project. But when I watch these makeup videos,
Mhm.
I'm cringing,
Mhm.
because I know what it feels like to have that cakey kind of face, and I
Mhm.
want to wash it off as soon as I'm done.
Mhm.
So I'm not as easily tempted to buy so much makeup and fill up my makeup drawers,
Mhm.
but present a good planner before me and how you use that system.
That might be some
Yeah,
temptation, right?
girl, it's like all of a sudden it's like, I need a new planner.
True,
you
right?
know so I'm just trying to provide a way where, in fact, this fall, I want to do some giveaways, and get rid of some of the things, not that I don't love them anymore,
Mhm.
but we want to help our community out with being in business, being a small business owner, especially as being a woman. A lot of times, folk get funky, and don't want to deal with you anymore. And we know, the behind the scenes stuff of dealing with business, but we just want to provide information as a resource. But
Mhm.
before we close, Nicole, do you have any final words for TLC Town and, women going into business, into blogging, and maybe even gardening? One, where can they reach you? And
Mhm.
two, give them some final words.
Okay. Like I say, my name is Nicole and I'm at helpmamaremote.com, and you may find me, like I say, throughout all social media under Help Mama Remote. And that is HelpMamaremote. And for my final remarks is anything that you are interested in doing and you feel led to do it and drawn, if you keep having that urge to do it, just step out and do it. A lot of times we just are fearful, we're scared of failing, but sometimes you never know how good you may be at something unless you try it. So step out and do it. If you had a goal this year that you wanted to start blogging, that you wanted to start gardening season is coming up, and like I say, it's time to prep. Get ready and garden. You'll be so happy that you did it.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for all the information, the creative content that you give to our listeners, and also to our community. We look forward to getting a physical update from your garden this summer.
Mhm.
So we'll see you soon. And listeners, if you have any questions, comments, or any insight, you can now email us directly at ladynick@toctown.com. Feel free to go through the whole website, sign into the guest book. We'll be happy to serve you. God bless.